Hello, my wonderful students. This is Mrs. Darmody speaking, and today I'm going to be introducing you to our next project, which will be using Google Jamboard digital whiteboard apps. So to discuss what we'll be doing with this, of course, before you do this project, you will be watching the How to Use Google Jamboard Edpuzzle assignment. Here is the actual project. So let's go over the requirements here. So for this project, the first thing you're going to be doing is you will be creating your own learning activity using as many of the Google Jamboard tools as you can to show me that you know how to use those tools. So the first step will be to decide on a school appropriate topic. It does not need to be academic, and make sure your teacher approves of this. Of course, that is me. Next, you will need to find at least 2 to 3 website resources that are not blocked, where you can find all the information you need for your learning activity. You must find those websites first, because you cannot assume that whoever is going to complete your learning activity would actually know the information ahead of time. Once you find those website resources, you will need to copy and paste the exact website addresses into text boxes on your resources Google Jamboard frame slide. Now, keep in mind that when you copy paste those website resources, they will not be clickable links on the frame slide, unfortunately. That is different than what we've been able to do in Google Slides and Google Docs, where you can make a clickable link. Also, your Google search results are not a website resource. You must find the exact website URL website address for the resources you find. Okay? And only then, when you've got your resources and you've got an approved topic, can you begin creating. Now, some of the requirements. So for requirements, there are 4 major required elements for your project. You must have an introduction with a title. So you have to come up with a title for your activity and a little introduction to describe what it is. Next, you'll need to have activity instructions. So specific instructions step by step as to what someone would need to do to complete your activity. And then, of course, you must have your website resources, the exact website addresses. Then the third required element is the actual learning activity for your students to do. And this may take up to I don't know how many, but you may have multiple slides for this. Most likely it will not just be one frame slide for that. Once you've completed your student learning activity, then you must make an answer key. In other words, the activity is completed by a fake student. And again, this might be multiple frame slides. So those are the major components that are required, the major elements. Then you must show me that you know how to use all the appropriate whiteboard tools that are in Google Jamboard for your learning activity. Now, you don't need to use every single tool, all those that are appropriate. The next thing I'll be looking at when I grade your project is, are your instructions that you created well thought out and detailed enough to make them easy to follow? If they're mostly easy to follow, that would be in the B range. If they're unclear or difficult to follow, then you lose more points. And obviously, if they're incomplete or missing, you lose a lot of points. The other thing I'll be looking at, do you have 3 or more helpful website resources and additional elements to enhance your project? In other words, do you have extra pictures, extra frame slides, some colorful things you put in there to create a meaningful learning activity? So those are the requirements. And this project will take multiple class periods to complete. So that's important to keep in mind. I certainly do not expect you to complete it in 1 class period. Now I'm going to show you some example projects. So I've come up with some example projects to help guide your work. Now, as I mentioned, your topic does not need to be academic. It can be any school-appropriate topic that you have a special interest in. I've had students in the past create Pokemon trivia games, NBA trivia, activities about horses, dance, athletics, all kinds of different things. So it can be a variety of things. But let's look at these example projects. Now I did, with the permission of a student, I did make a copy of her project because it was absolutely fabulous. This is a math project. So her project is all about math. And she says her intro is, how well do you know math equations? And she's got a nice picture there in the title. And on the next slide, she has her website resources. Here are some websites to help you. Then she has an activity, match the equations with the correct answers using the pen tool. So she used the sticky notes for this. And then here's the answer key, the completed activity. And here's activity number 2. Solve these problems, drag the right answers on the green sticky notes to the right equation. So what I like about this is that not only is it a second activity, but it's done in a slightly different way. And here's the answer key. Next, she has shapes. Place the right name with the shape underneath it. And she used the shape tools that are right over here. Okay, and there's the answer key for that. Now she has another one. Put the right answer next to the right equation. You can tell she likes math. There they are. And then there's the final slide with a nice picture on it. So that's a fabulous project. Now my project that I'm going to show you is a math coordinate plane activity, which I know you've been learning about this in math class. So learn how to graph X and Y coordinates. In this activity, you will use all 4 coordinates of the coordinate plane to graph each set of X and Y ordered pairs. So this is a nice picture that would show someone who may not really be familiar with the coordinate plane, the y-axis, the x-axis, the point of origin, which is 0, 0, first quadrant, second quadrant, third, and fourth. Then on the next slide, we have websites, Math Planet, and another one, separate text boxes, and then again another picture of how you can graph ordered pairs on the coordinate plane. So the x value is 2, the y value is 3, and you determine where they intersect, and that's where you plot your point. Next, we have the actual activity. Please identify the x and y ordered pairs on this graph of the coordinate plane by using the appropriate tools. So I have listed a number of ordered pairs that need to be graphed, and this is a picture I found on the internet of a graph, so I wouldn't have to draw my own. Then I use the circle tool to actually plot out each of the coordinates. Oops. And that's that. So that's that activity. And I did do a math geometry activity, which has some similarities to the student activity, so I won't go over that one. Oops. Here we go. Science. I did something with the solar system. So in this activity, I have things about the solar system. I have some resources here. Then I have pictures of all the planets in the solar system in random order. And then I have them place planets in the order from left to right, top to bottom. And then there are some fun facts about the planets. Next, I have social studies. And this is a geography activity. And I actually have 2 activities on this example. You'll be completing 2 different activities to identify each thing with the capital city of each of the 6 New England states. On the third flame slide, you will use a variety of Google Jamboard tools to identify each state capital in New England. On frame slide 4, you will drag and drop or use the line tool to match each capital city to the correct state. And then, of course, I've got a picture here. So resources to help you if you didn't know how to use Jamboard are here. And then here's an activity. You may use a variety of Google Jamboard tools such as circles, arrows, sticky notes, etc. to clearly identify each capital city in the New England states, the Atlantic Ocean, and our state capital, Massachusetts. So because the picture itself shows you everything you need to know, that is why I do not have a website resource for the geography. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And I circled each state capital in red, and this was the circle tool that I used. And I made the outline of that circle red, the border color. Then I circled the Atlantic Ocean in yellow. I inserted a red arrow to point to Boston. And I inserted a yellow sticky note to identify Boston as our state capital. And then I also made a matching activity with the same information. So I have all of the states in New England listed here on sticky notes, all of the state capitals listed here, and then the instructions are here. And then here I use the pen tool to actually match everything. And that's it. So those are my activity examples. And then you can begin your activity by, your name would be here. You'd open that up. And of course, what you want to keep in mind is you want to set a background. You can use your pen tool. The pen tool has a regular pen, marker pen, highlighter pen, and paintbrush. Very limited colors, unfortunately. But you can use this very easily. Okay, if you want to clear the frame, you can click on that. If you want a sticky note, you can type anything here. Any colors, you can make them different sizes. You can duplicate them. You can tilt them. You can put in a picture. You can put shapes in. And I think I'll make that red. And I actually want that pointing towards the dog. And I can make that a thinner arrow if I want. And then, of course, my text boxes. Now, the text box, you have very limited sizes of text. Display text, title, subtitle, etc. I'm going to make this display, and I'm going to make the color yellow. This, whoops. This is all about Bichon Frege dogs. Okay, so I don't want that over the picture of the dog. So I might move it down like this. Now, this title, of course, is over to the left. I can go up here and make it centered. And then if I want to add a new slide, I click here. And I can do other things and add more slides. Now, if I want to see all my slides, I click this, I can see them. I can move them around. I can delete them. Or if I've created my activity, I can go up here and I can duplicate it. And then, of course, I could make changes to that second slide. Okay, so those are the basics. And you will have multiple class periods to work on this, probably about 4 or 5. We'll see how it goes. And if you have any questions, you can